subscribe our channel, stay till the end of the stories for more twist and turn. Comment us about what kind of stories you like to hear. Another woman, 28 female, pretended to be me, 34 female, at a party while my husband, 35 male, was heavily drunk. This is also a throwaway. People involved have agreed not to comment on this and haven't told family yet. I'm sorry for how long this is. People in this story: me, my husband, my hubby's best friend we will call A, his wife which we will call C. Other women, we will call S. So recently A's wife C had made friends with S from work. They both work in a hospital. S was new and had no friends. She had recently moved to CA from OK after somewhat S called scary times happened to her at her last job. I haven't met her, but my hubby has said that quite a few times a week he and his partner would have to go to the hospital to get a statement from someone, and S had started to flirt with him after a few short weeks. To my husband at the time he just took this as innocent flirting and always laughed it off. S made a comment to C about their instant flirty connection and how long it would take him to ask her out. C had then told her that he made it well known he was married as he wore a band on his finger, and him being kind and nice to someone doesn't mean an instant flirty connection. She also told S she knew me and knew that never ever would my hubby ask out another woman while happily married with 4 kids. Apparently, S had a smug look on her face and just walked away after that. When she called me after work to tell me, and because I'm suffering from postpartum, not as bad now, it affected me a little bit, and when my husband got home I practically demanded to know if he had been flirting with he, which he told me he had never flirted with S and was only trying to be nice to her, that she must have taken it the wrong way. Never once had her flirted with her and only laughed at her when she flirted with him. I believe him. I could actually tell he didn't, and I apologized. Over the next few weeks, she continued to flirt every time he came into the hospital, and over a few days would always asking when she should book a date, and for their first date, he did tell S more than once that he was happily married and S needed to stop, which she always laughed at, always said I'm just playing around before laughing more. C was always a witness to this happening and always texted me when something like this happened. And by the time my hubby would come home from work to tell me what S had been saying, I always replied with I know C already told me. C even tried to talk to her and made it clear that she needed to stop or else she couldn't be friends with someone trying to ruin her friend's marriage. Apparently, S said she would stop, and for 2 weeks she seemed professional whenever my hubby had to go down to the hospital. Fast forward to the recent weekend, S has started hanging out with our friend group, not specifically me and husband and A and C, but other friends, from which they learned that she was very much single and just trying to have fun. Apparently she flirted once or twice with some of the other husbands, but that was all. I didn't think much of it at all. On Saturday I and hubby were supposed to be having a kid-free weekend and going to a small party at A and C's house. The last second I decided to stay home. I wasn't really in the best mood, and the whole day I had been feeling really down, so I told my husband to go by himself. Stupid choice. Sometime yesterday afternoon C and A brought my husband home and he looked awful. He could hardly look at me, looked like he had been crying for hours, and I clearly could tell he was still hungover. A and C said that we needed to sit down and talk, and after helping my husband upstairs and into our bedroom, me, C and A sat down to talk about the nights before events. C had invited S to the party thinking everything was going to be okay, and at first, it was S stayed away from my husband. My hubby thought drank quite a lot, and at some point him and one of our other friends decided to go outside and try to do some weird stunts. Don't even ask me why 2 grown men thought this was a good idea while drunk, or how they got this idea. Anyway, long story short, my husband landed on his head, so A and another friend helped him inside and onto the couch to rest for a bit. He had fallen to sleep, and an hour later he was back up while everyone was outside. S was inside in the kitchen when my husband walked past. Now from what he told me later in his very drunken stage, say S's hair and thought it was me. S's hair, which is a little lighter and the same length as mine. He thought I had changed my mind and came to the party and didn't bother to stop and think. He went over to S to cuddle her from behind for a second. S was shocked, but when my hubby said I love you all drunkenly, she decided to peruse her feelings for him. She turned around and practically made out with him after a couple of minutes before asking which room they were staying in. S pretty much dragged him to the bedroom. When she had come back into her house, she noticed my hubby had moved from the couch and freaked, but she called out to A, who then raced into the house to start looking for my husband before they hear a flirtatious giggle down the hallway and went to find out, where they found my hubby unzipping S's dress. When S found them standing in the doorway to the guest room, for which she smirked at them and told them to get lost, A had to practically drag my hubby out of the room, while C told S to leave her home. After that everyone went home and A and C focused on getting my hubby sober. When he managed to sober up a lot, A asked him if he remembered what he did, and for which my hubby sat silent for a couple minutes before bursting into tears and cried for hours. This all shocked me when A and C told me, "I'm not mad in any way at my husband. In all honesty, people are going to be mad at me, but I've seen my hubby bad and he is like a fifth child. Also over the fact that even sober this would never have happened. I feel he made a mistake and clearly has broken him, even though I've tried telling him I'm not mad at him, but it still seems heavy on him. I am mad at S and tried to find her on social media. C told me she follows me on Instagram, and I checked that account, but it seems that C only set it up to follow my account. Don't know why I only post pictures of my kids, but then I found another account with comments from friends from back in OK, I'm guessing? But I also found her boyfriend, but then I remembered she said she was single. All these photos of S and her boyfriend are very recent, so why would she hide being in a relationship? I want to tell him what she did, but don't know how to start. Your husband was drunk enough to not notice it was S, but then he remembered it was her? Which is it? I think you should focus on your relationship first before thinking about revenge or whatever. Tell A and C you won't be around them if S is still around. I'm just amazed at how they know the way she behaves and still put up with her. Almost like stoking the fire to the flames. It's both, by essence alcohol bring confusion. This is why it's problematic. This is why you don't sleep with someone who is too drunk, cause he can be in no position to really consent, cause he got no control, then remember it and regret it. I've seen a lot of people lost control and then having a confused memory of the event and reconnect the memories by pieces or flash. I should think about calling the police. Yeah, he was drunk and he hit his head, which made it worse. But according to Op, he was the one who approached S, he was the one who took S to the bedroom, he was the one who unzipped her dress. S took advantage, but she could well say that his action was consensual. So filing a police report unfortunately wouldn't be in his favor. I understand filing a police report wouldn't be in his favor. But even if he initiated, she's still in the wrong. Again, if he is that drunk and confused with the head injury, S should have not taken advantage of it. I will admit he took me years to understand that, but the reality is that if the person is not in a state where she can fully consent and have clear conscience of her action, you just cannot do shit, even if she initiate. I had a girl heavily drunk in my bed begging me for sex, and hopefully, when I realize it, she was just too drunk. It was too much, so I didn't touch her. Guess what? The morning after, she didn't remember anything and was afraid if we did it cause she was not into me, and I thank God I did not. I would have not been arrested, but it would have not changed the fact that she would feel like I took advantage of her. I'm sorry, but this story makes no sense. Some irregularities and conflicting pieces of info. You can't be too drunk to recognize a person but be sober enough to walk on your own 2 feet to skip rooms for some fun. I'm really sorry, but your husband's story is horse shit. He got drunk and cheated on you. You don't mistake someone as your significant other, especially if you knew they didn't come. That's fucking ridiculous. I know you completely trust him and think he could never do that, but you are sadly wrong. He's crying because he got caught and probably from some guilt. I'm sorry this happened. But please do not believe his bullshit story. Deep down you know it's not true. Yeah, I don't believe any of this is platonic here. I don't know if a person that would embarrass themselves at work over unreciprocated things like this. Even bold like she is being with suggesting a date to a married man, if she wasn't getting some positive feedback from him then she'd move on. I think he cheated and knows it. But seriously, what kind of a trash person goes into someone's guest room to sleep with someone and then tells the owners to leave? Lol, WTH is wrong with this thread. Your boyfriend, for what I can tell, was about to be raped. I have already been so drunk that I had no real control, but I remember some flash and can remember a scene and tell the story. The two are not incompatible. From the moment he was heavily drunk, and pass out from head injury, alcohol and fatigue, he was clearly not in a position to consent. End of the story. There is a chance it is an elaborate lie, but I would be very cautious to go this way. What I note is, he always rejected her, he always told you about her, and when he did it, it was at your friend's house, with the possibility of you coming and your friend discovering everything. Too much risk for any sane person. Ultimately I would play the reverse card, I always do that. Now it is the story of your friend Amy. She was heavily drunk, playing, hurt herself in the head, go to the couch, take some sleep, and this guy she had always rejected come into her. Next thing she know, everybody finds her and him in the bed and Amy is still drunk. The guy asks everybody to get lost, but the friends don't listen and stop it. Now time has passed a bit, Amy is not as drunk and in tears, shaming herself, asking herself what will she say to her boyfriend? She doesn't understand how she ends up like that. Honestly, this scene does not scream something to you? Seriously, I'm stunned by the reaction to this story. Thanks for listening so far. If story have an update, we will post here. Like, subscribe to our channel for upcoming stories.